Good morning, everybody out there in YouTube land. You know, the last couple weeks on the channel, the content pieces that I've been producing, I've been extremely proud of, but they've been very heavy. They've been very dense, a lot of research, a lot of scripting. The editing time has been enormous. The Wounded Warrior project that we did was great, but it took up a lot of time in planning and editing, and I hope Michael is enjoying his system. If you're watching right now, Michael, get that podcast out. A lot of people are really interested in that as well. I also did a research piece on Intel, did the RTX on-off thing, the monthly build. All those videos were awesome, but take a lot of time to produce. And today is Thanksgiving Day. I don't have a lot of time to make a video, but I wanted to get something out for you guys. So anybody out there in the United States, happy Thanksgiving. I know this is coming out after Thanksgiving, but still I hope that you had a good couple of days, long weekend, I guess. And also happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and all that season's coming up. We got a lot of cool videos coming up on the channel, so make sure you get subscribed to that. We got a Viewer's Choice PC, which is our monthly build for December, where you guys choose the parts that I build with. Also got like end of year awards and stuff like that too. However, today's Thanksgiving. I wanted to get a video out for you guys, and we're going to be taking a look at a couple of products from Team Group that came into the office recently, and then we're going to let you move on with your day. So let's get to it and crack these bad boys open. So these are the two products we're going to be taking a look at today from Team Group. These are both under their T-Force line. This is the one that you guys are probably most familiar with, or the most wanting to see, and that's their Delta MAX SSD. Just a standard 2.5-inch form factor SSD. Read and write speeds are good, but they're nothing compared to like NVMe SSDs, 560 read and 510 write. But what makes this one special is the gigantic RGB, addressable RGB screen on the front of it. And then they also sent over this. I didn't ask them to send this, but this came in the same box. This is their Captain RGB controller, and it not just is a controller, but it comes with a couple of addressable RGB strips as well. And they said that these two pair really well together. So why don't we take them both out of the box and see what they can actually do. So let's move this off to the side here. We're going to focus on the SSD at first. Pop the box open, there we go. And yeah, so this is just your standard like 2.5-inch drive as far as form factor goes. It definitely feels a little bit thicker, and that's likely because of the RGB screen that's on it. And once we do a peel here, yeah, that is like super reflective. So I don't know if you guys are able to see this very well, or if it's coming out on camera, but just the, I don't know, the screen covering itself looks really cool. Like if you were to just mount this in a case like this, it has some like purple in it. And I don't know, it just looks really neat. I assume that it's very fingerprinty, and yes it is. So when you're installing this, make sure that you clean it off before you fire it up. All right, got to clean off those fingerprints because that was driving me crazy. So yeah, so this is your standard 2.5-inch SSD. It'll fit in all your regular drive mounts, and especially if you have it mounted in your case facing out of a side tempered glass window or something, it's going to look really cool. Like I said, even without being turned on. But let's turn it on. Let's get it turned on. One of the downsides of using an SSD like this is that there is another wire that you have to worry about in addition to your SATA power and your SATA data. Data obviously not hooked up right now. You also have a micro USB that you have to plug in order to control the lighting. But once you do plug it in, that is pretty cool looking. And you can see like the RGB effects kind of flowing across the screen. That's really neat. Yeah, and we'll definitely get some B-roll of this as well, because I know the light reflections are not ideal in this angle. Yeah, awesome. Let's take a look at the controller and see maybe what kind of effects we can apply to the Delta Max. All right, getting the Captain out of the box here. Got a little instruction pamphlet. The controller itself. Come on. Wow, that's really on there. All right. So this, in comparison to the SSD, is obviously a little bit bigger, a little bit thicker, and doesn't have any mounts. So you'll have to, double-sided tape this or something to your case, and it does actually come with some Velcro, which is actually pretty convenient. Oh, and some 3M adhesive. So that's pretty convenient. So I think you'll be able to find a way to mount this, although it is obviously something that is going to occupy more space. So I think that's a button. You hear that? I wonder what that does. I have to find. I should read the instructions, I think. So yeah, a little bit bigger. You're obviously going to have to find some room in your case for it, which, you know, shouldn't be a problem. It's thin enough where it should not have any issues slotting in somewhere behind the motherboard tray. But the input and outputs are labeled at the bottom. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-volt addressable RGB outputs. We've got a 5-volt addressable RGB input. So if you have one output on your motherboard and you want to route it out to different RGB strips or fans or something like that, this allows you to do that. This is also interesting. It's got a 12-volt RGB input and output. So you could kind of convert your 12-volt 4-pin RGB signal from your motherboard to a 5-volt, and there it goes, RGB output. I think it's still fine. Should still be okay. So let's connect this up and see how it looks. Got everything all hooked together now, and one of the things that I do like about Team Group's RGB ecosystem that they've developed here is that their SSDs can connect via micro USB to USB 2.0 on the motherboard, which is how we had it initially, or via micro USB to addressable RGB, which is another cable that they provide in the box. So you can hook it up to the Captain controller, as well as obviously the RGB strips that come in the package. And these are daisy chainable, which is always very convenient. And this one also has an additional connector on the end that you could keep going with more of these if you want. What I did find out is that this little button that I didn't know what it does is a lighting controller. So it's not going to give you full functionality. Obviously for that, you're going to need to hook into your motherboard and use the motherboard software, but you can cycle through a couple of different presets, and you got like this kind of really, I don't know, anemic flash. This looks really, I don't like this. Let's move on to that. There we go. So this is obviously much brighter. It's just like a color cycle. And yeah, this looks really cool. The lighting itself, like around the logo, isn't too bright, but you definitely can see it. And then obviously the logo is much brighter. That does look really cool. You can switch back to like the rainbow effect. So it's kind of limited functionality as far as what this button can do for you, but it can maybe help you match a little bit. If you want to make sure that everything syncs up with the way the rest of your system looks, obviously you're gonna have to plug this into the motherboard. So that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Team Group for sending over the SSD and the controller. You'll be seeing more of that stuff in upcoming videos, builds, and whatnot. But for now, have a great holiday season, upcoming Christmas shopping, Black Friday, whatever you guys are doing, Cyber Monday, I guess. Yeah, get subscribed if you're not already. Hit up the merchandise store link down below, and I will see you next time.